Time to introduce the next talk. Next talk is about I3C. Oh, sorry, that's not. I3C high data rate modes from specification to real life devices. And this is being presented by Alex Passi. Alex is a software engineering manager at Cadence Design Systems and an active participant of MIPI Sensor Working Group. Mr. Passi leads development of verification IP for emerging MIPI I3C interface, as well as development of verification IPs for MIPI display families like DSI, DPI, and DBI interfaces. Please welcome Alex Passi here.
Hi, good morning, everyone. As we have seen from Ken's presentation, I3C protocol provides us with a number of advantages over the existing sensor interfaces. One of MIPI I3C features is its backward compatibility with legacy I2C devices and its similarity to well-known I2C protocol. So in general, we should be pretty much familiar with how the I3C protocol works. But at the same time, it introduces three new operation modes. Allow us to transfer much more data at the same frequency, high data rate modes. And these modes are operating in a way that is completely different from I2C, and therefore we are much less familiar with that. In this presentation, I'm going to explain about I3C high data rate modes and to talk about pre-silicon verification of designs using these modes. So first of all, let's start still with single data rate mode, which is the default operation mode of I3C bus. This mode, I3C bus is always initialized in this mode, and it cannot be initialized in I3C high data rate modes. In order to understand the difference between these modes, high data rate and single data rate SDR, let's take a very short look on SDR mode. First of all, maximum data rate of this mode is 12.5 megabit per second. It is almost similar to I2C, but introduces many new features like in-band interrupts, hot join, dynamic addressing, and so on. Like in I2C, it has two wires. SCL wire operates as a clock signal in single data rate mode, and data is actually transferred over SDA wire. The principle of operation is very simple. The transmitter writes data bit to SDA while SCL signal is low. It is shown here. And the receiver reads this data bit on the rising edge of SCL signal clock. In addition, there are, exactly like in I2C, there are two special conditions where SDA wire changes while SCL signal is high. Start condition, where SDA goes from high to low, and stop condition, which is opposite to start. In addition, exactly like in I2C, there is a repeated start, which is actually a start condition following the initial start condition. Now let's get to high data rate modes and let us understand what is different with them. First of all, As you can guess from the name, these modes allow us to transfer more data while preserving the same SDR frequency, which is 12.5 megabit per second, but using this mode, we succeed to transfer to achieve much higher data rate. It is important to note that HDR modes can be used only on two kinds of I3C buses. I3C pure bus, the bus that is using only only I3C devices are present on it, no I2C devices, or mixed fast bus, which means bus with I2C devices on it, but all I2C legacy I2C devices are equipped with 50 nanosecond spike filter. There are three HDR modes. Dual data rate mode, also known as HDR-DDR, this one, and two ternary symbol modes, one for pure bus and another one for mixed fast bus mode. Like I said, I3C bus cannot be initialized in any of high data rate modes, and while in HDR mode, actually repeated start and stop conditions are irrelevant, and they're replaced with HDR restart and HDR exit patterns, which are shown here. HDR restart pattern is actually replace the repeated start mode condition, and it is used mainly in order to separate between I3C high data rate transactions. In addition, it serves as a recovery point in case of error detection, which means, for example, if I3C slave device detects any parity error, it stops its operation and comes back to life only when it observes the HDR restart pattern. Similarly, HDR exit pattern replaces the stop condition, which means, first of all, end of any HDR mode. I forgot to tell that both patterns are common to all the high data rate modes, and also serves as a recovery point in case of HDR error detection, as well as some critical single data rate mode detection. Like Ken said, HDR exit pattern must be recognized by any I3C device, including the devices that support only single data rate mode. And this is required in order to properly ignore high data rate traffic by this device. Now, how do we build verification environment for I3C devices? This slide relates not only to high data rate verification, but to any verification of I3C device. First of all, it is highly recommended that you have a design. In case of master, it's master DUT, design under test, which will, during the verification simulation test, will actually manage the bus, will do the same thing that it is intended to do. In addition, we will have passive master verification component. This component will actually perform the verification and will examine all outgoing traffic that is generated by design under test, collect coverage, and issue alerts about any detected error. And of course, we'll need some active verification components that will emulate the slaves I2C and I3C devices. It is important to mention that active verification component must be able to generate both proper I3C traffic and erroneous I3C traffic in order to test the ability of the master design to detect and recover errors according to I3C spec. In case of slave duty, slave design under test, first of all, we will need active master verification component that will actually manage the bus during the test. It will have also to generate both correct traffic, I3C traffic, and erroneous, again, in order to test the ability to detect errors. And in addition, in order to give the design feeling, of course, we will have passive verification component that will perform the verification, actual verification. And in order to give the design feeling that it is not alone on the bus, we will have some additional active I3C slave verification component that also will generate some traffic. Let's go into details of HDR dual data rate mode. This mode is pretty straightforward, like Ken said. It just allows to double the data rate up to 25 megabit per second by reading data bits on both edges of SSL clock signal. The bus enters any HDR mode upon seeing a dedicated common command code. In case of HDR DDR, it's end HDR 0. And again, all the devices are exiting the high data rate mode when observing HDR exit patterns that I mentioned earlier. In dual data rate mode, data is transferred in messages. Every message consists of command word, which actually specifies the command ID sent by master to slave device. There are 128 write commands and 64 read commands reserved by I3C spec. In addition, it has one or more data words and CRC word. Command word and data words are actually, every word contains 20 bits, 2 bits for preamble, specifying the type of this word, 16 bits of actual data. In case of command word, it's actually command code, and 2 parity bits. For data words, it is always the same. Also the same. The CRC word has 12 bits, while 2 bits are reserved for preamble type, specifying the type of the word, and the rest are related to CRC. Not seeing very good, but this is a typical waveform for HDR-DDR transmission. We can see the data setup is performed both on when SL wire is high and SL wire is low. So actually, that's why in high data rate modes, restart and stop conditions are irrelevant. Instead, we can see here, this area is a data transmission, and here we can see HDR restart pattern, which is separating between HDR DDR messages, and here the new message starts. As for read messages, the message is broken into 2 parts. The first part is transmitted by master. It's here. Master transmits command word that contains read command. After that, there is short bus turnaround pattern, and after that, it is followed by slave data words and CRC word transmitted by slave. At the end of CRC word, the control of the bus comes back to the master, and it transmits as a restart pattern or exit pattern. The points that we should take into account while verifying I3C designs in high data rate modes. First of all, we must make sure, in case of mixed bus, that our design generates HDR/DDR traffic which is invisible to I2C devices present on the bus. In other words, it means that SCL signal cannot stay high longer than 40 nanoseconds. Of course, we should verify correct encoding and decoding of data, including parity bits, including CRC words. Also, I forgot to mention here, the read operation can be prematurely terminated by master. So during verification, we should make sure that this operation is performed correctly and the slave doesn't continue to translate its data when master aborted the read operation. Of course, we should verify that all errors defined by I3C spec are detected and the device is able to recover from these errors correctly. And for designs not supporting dual data rate mode, we should verify that these devices are really ignoring all the traffic that occurs in HDR/DDR mode. Some scenarios recommended for verification of dual data rate devices. First of all, of course, to perform a regular write-read operations that will verify proper operation in a normal mode. Also, to verify for these scenarios are for slave designs. To verify that the slave design properly accepts the termination of read operation by master. To perform, using active master verification components, some error injections like write with invalid preamble to generate a word that has an invalid preamble that is not expected at this stage of test or at this stage of HDR/DDR interaction. The same about to generate word with invalid parity and to see how the slave detects it and exits from this state, and also writing with invalid CRC word. For master DUT, again, it's almost the same to perform a common general write-read, to make sure that master is able to generate read termination, premature read termination, and to test ability of the master design to accept, to detect and ignore words with invalid preamble and invalid parity and invalid CRC words. We are going now to ternary symbol modes. We will start with HDR TSP mode. Again, this mode is available only on pure I3C bus, where no I2C devices are present. The I3C, again, it enters similarly to HDR/DDR upon transmission of end HDR1 common command code and exits when HDR exit pattern is observed. Here, data is transferred in messages that consist of command word and one or more data words. There is no CRC word. In general, every word consists of 20 symbols, which I will explain now. The symbol is a single change in wires levels, in the signals levels. It can be 0, 1, or 2, while 1 represents change only in SCL, 2 represents change only in SDA wire, and 0 represents the simultaneous change of both wires. Now, regarding the simultaneous change, we should keep in mind that actually simultaneous signal change means that signals change in the interval of 12.8 nanoseconds between the changes. It's still considered simultaneous. Every 12 ternary symbols represent 16 bits of data and 2 parity bits. And these 12 ternary symbols are subdivided into 6 pairs of symbols, whilst a single pair cannot have a pair of symbols with a value of 2. Here we can see the typical waveform for HDR TSP message. Here we can see 12 symbols of command word. Command word, again, we have 128 write commands and 64 read command codes. This is followed by chunks, every one of 12 symbols, 12 change of wire levels of data, and followed by HDR exit or restart. For read messages, again, master transmits the command word, and the slave devices are responding with data words. Here, since we don't have CRC word, the slave indicates that it finished to transmit its data by starting transmission of restart or exit pattern. And at some point, master device recognizes it and takes the control over the bus. What do we have to take into account while verifying such a design? Again, correct encoding and decoding of data, including symbols, to make sure that there are no pairs of symbols with a value 2. Proper handling of master to slave and slave to master bus turnaround. Again, error detection and recovery. While errors can be in parity bits, mainly parity bits or bad pairs of symbols. And for device not supporting HDR TSP, proper ignoring of all TSP traffic. The scenarios that we suggest is again for almost the same general operation, but here we can also try to send generate word having an invalid pair of ternary symbols, 2 consecutive 2 symbols, in order to test the ability of slave device to recover from this error, writing with invalid parity, like in dual data rate, and to perform tests that allowing slave to perform a bus turnaround. Almost the same with master DUT, just here the scenarios are, the bad error injections are generated by active virtual verification component. HDR-TSL, it stands for ternary symbol for legacy inclusive bus, and what I forgot to tell, HDR-TSP allows us to increase the data rate for almost 40 megabits per second. This mode, HDR-TSL, is intended to be used in mixed fast bus. It is much slower than HDR-TSP, but still provides gives us some advantage over HDR-DDR. The main difference between between HDR-TSL and HDR-TSP is that because we are operating in a mixed bus, we should make sure that SL signal doesn't stay high for longer than 40 nanoseconds. Otherwise, I2C devices will detect it. And that means that HDR TSL devices must operate faster than 10 megahertz. HDR TSP obviously doesn't have such limitation. Again, here, in addition to verification points that we have for HDR TSP, here we should test the compatibility with legacy I2C devices, which mean SL staying in high position not longer than 40 nanoseconds, proper insertion of dummy symbols. In order to keep this condition, we will have to insert data symbols. Dummy symbols just are intended to take SL signal low. And proper encoding and decoding of data with these dummy symbols. If you have any other questions, you obviously can visit us at our exhibit at Great Hall. And do you have any questions?
Anyone have any questions for Alex?
Yes, please.
Regarding the SDR mode, do you, and working with legacy I2C IP, when you have these two together, do you still need the notch filter, the 50 nanosecond spike filter rather?
Excuse me, I missed the last one.
Do you need the 50 nanosecond spike filter when you're only using SDR mode?
No, I don't think so. Okay. It's not must. It is not must, but still, in order to allow faster operation, it is highly recommended. But
okay, so
it's not mandatory. But if you want to operate at I2C frequencies, you must have it.
So it's not a function of SDR or HDR. It's a function of 12.5 megahertz.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just for high data rate modes, you must have it.
Any other questions? I have one for you, Alex. Interesting tool. So since you have dot analysis, can this tool enable some sort of like efficiency study or traffic efficiency studies between different HDR modes given a particular situation in traffic? Like overhead, underhead, and tell, hey, DDR is better, HDR, TSP, TSL.
I don't know. I can't tell what is better, but
No. Can you enable a customer to do that?
In our verification environments, we can allow the customer to test all the modes, data modes, including devices that supports all 4 I2C modes.
Thank you. Any other question? If not, this is the last presentation before lunch, and we'll get back here again after lunch. Thank you, Alex. Thank you.